Yep.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk NMB. It's great to be back on this again. Yesterday we had some technical difficulties, but I know we've got Alex Finney here today. She brings a lot of good luck to this, and so there won't be any issues with any technical difficulties like we had yesterday. But for those of you who are on, when I was unceremoniously kicked off due to technical stuff, you will realize that Horace, our assistant city manager, picked up the mantle. And so I said, okay, fine. So if there's one reason for working from home that we can talk about is that when the city manager is kicked off, uh, Let's Talk NMB, the person at home who is working from home, who is telecommuting, can pick up the mantle. So that's one good point to that. Anyway, here we are today, and we've got Alex Finney with us. Actually, it's Alexandra Finney, if I'm correct, but we like Alex because it just flows real good. We like Alex. So, Alex, before we begin, I want to recognize our commissioners who are on here. Those I can see right now. I know I can see Commissioner Paulie Villard. I can see Commissioner Fortuna Smuckler, and I can see Commissioner Phyllis Smith. Those are ones I'm seeing now. But those who are doing who are monitoring the participants will tell me as others join in. It's a great day to do a Zoom day because Alex is here with us. And Alex, we just want to turn it over to you. Say welcome to Let's Talk NMB. And I'm going to ask you, just tell us a little bit about you. I know you're a homegrown girl.
Yes. Hi. Thanks so much for having me. So yeah, I'm from Miami Shores. My family still lives there. I've been living in South Florida since I was 9 years old. I'm currently the weekend evening anchor over at Channel 10. Today is my reporting day, so I am out in these streets in just a moment to go get some stories for our later shows. So yeah, it's just been a wild, wild ride this last 2 months that feels like it's been 2 years, right? Because there have been so many changes. Everything's been coming at us so quickly. And we've had to readjust on the news side because obviously we still have to get the stories. People are actually, I feel in some ways, relying on us more now than ever, and trying to change that workflow and change that very quickly and keeping up with the stories and staying ever present in what's happening has been a task, but I think it's been a task that the local 10 team has taken on so well. So it's like everybody else, just day by day right now.
Great. Well, I tell you something, Alex. If you're struggling for stories, I know a city that has a lot of good stuff to give you. You've got
Yes.
my number. You can call me. I can turn you on to that city manager, city commissioners, and mayor. I know that city, so just call me if you're ever in need of stories. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
So tell me, what is it like in this environment, in this COVID-19 environment, for a reporter, for an anchor? Just what's happening?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing really is what's happening right here, right now is, you know, we're all meeting from our homes. And that's even the reality when we get stories. I wake up in the morning, we have our Zoom meetings instead of going into the station. We all meet virtually to go over what we're going to cover for the day. And of course that changes as the day develops, but we used to always meet in person in our room, in the office room for our meetings every day. That's no longer the case. And then the way we gather news is different. So um, you know I might have an interview set up, and the interview is no longer in person. It's over Zoom, FaceTime, Skype. We do it that way. And if we are out, and I know today, and I'm doing a story where I'm going to, be out and hopefully being able to talk to people, that's even at a distance. Our microphones, we're masked up, we're gloved down, we're standing at a distance. We have a long pole that we use to attach the microphone to so that we can still get the story, but get it in a safe manner. And everything we do now from the reporter standpoint, we don't go into the station. Everything we do is at a distance. So we have our photographer who we meet out in the field, and we put our story together. Even my photographer and I, we practice social distancing, the way we track our stories, the way we go about editing, everything everything is at a distance. And I think that that's just the word that we all have to keep in our minds, whether it's reporting, whether we're going to the grocery store, whether we're at the gas station, just always remembering distance, distance, distance. It's so important, and it's so difficult at times because we are a society of people that's so used to, being in close quarters, right? We're seeing people, we're bumping into people sometimes, saying, excuse me, we hug, like I'm a hugger, and so that's been a change as well. From the workflow standpoint, I think just the biggest change that's been is just learning how to still tell a story, while not being present with the people that are part of this story. That has to change. We're doing it very well. We're seeing areas where, where we might have thought before, this wasn't something that we could do. And wow, how quick we're able to now grab an interview with FaceTime, Zoom. So I think it's been a very much of a teachable moment, this pandemic, but it's taken a lot of, time to adjust. And then you think about your own personal family as well, and just, okay, how am I, I'm going out here in the field, but I still want to make sure that I'm keeping those I love safe.
Right.
So that's been a delicate balance as well.
Good. By nature, we tend to adapt. So we adapt to what we're going through. But to your point, how is it that you conduct that real human interest story and have that human element, that presence with a person who's going through that? That is somehow, I guess that's a big challenge, because how do you connect to that?
Yeah,
right?
It's very different. I've connected with viewers and just the community in general. In some ways, I would say more now than I did before. And that is, we're so used to when we go out on a story, right? We're going to talk face to face with people, and that's well, you don't think about that. You don't overthink that. There's that connection is already ingrained in us, how we connect with people when we're not socially distancing. But in some ways, like I've been on, social media, I will, post, asking a question, and I'll get, a bunch of viewer responses, which has been great. I'll get emails, and I'll be ping-ponging back and forth with emails for sometimes days with people that have sent me stories. And because we're all in this together, we follow up with each other. There's one woman who I've been in contact with for over a month who gave me a story idea, and through that, I've checked in with her, yes, about, how this went, a follow-up, but also, how are you doing? How's your family? She'll check in with me, and it's in some ways it's bonded us more, because that human element has been removed. And so you're finding different ways, and you're trying to find those different ways. You realize, wow, there are still so many powerful ways that sometimes it goes over our head, so many powerful ways that we can still connect with people, because we do have social media as, a platform. We do have emails. So I find that has almost sometimes made that connection better. And it's really just been, like we've been saying, FaceTime, Zoom, you just find a way. You just find a way to do it, and you just follow up, and you just stay in touch. And sometimes those have been the best stories to tell, the ones where you just follow up.
Right. Alex, I'm going to tell you something, because you just touched a point. This morning I was speaking to our director of Parks and Recreation, and this evening at 3:00, what they're going to be doing is that they're going to be virtually reaching out to all the kids that they have in summer camp. This is a story that just hit, that I thought just came home real good. They're reaching out at 3:00 this evening to all the kids in their summer camp, and they're going to be virtually doing arts and craft, so the kids can make things for their mothers, for Mother's Day. So here it is. They're still connecting with the community. I'm still connecting with the kids, keeping them involved. And the joy that these kids get just from hearing from their camp, from their the counselors in their different facilities that we have here in the city, different centers, just to reach out to them while they're at home doing practically the same thing over and over, but just to reconnect with the city. Hint, hint, a great story for Channel 10. but just to be able to reach out to these kids to do such a wonderful thing for Mother's Day coming up. So yeah, you find different ways to adapt and to do things. And I just wanted to share that story because it's a real story for all of us, regardless of where we are with
Yeah.
it. But tell me something, Alex, because in this, I mean, there's an ebb and flow of emotions in COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the moving or your most moving story that you've had to cover in this time?
It's a very good question. Oh, I think, well, top of mind, I don't know if this is exactly answering what you just asked, but this whole thing about unemployment is just absolutely, it's heartbreaking because so many people now are left without jobs, without knowing what tomorrow's going to bring, next week, next month. And the emails that I've covered unemployment at length, and the various reporters that I work with, my colleagues, we share that task. And just the emails that I get from viewers and from people that just need help. That I know that you said what story, or something along the lines of, can I remember a story that impacted me? I don't think it's a story per se as so much a moment. The reality of the situation. I think that is that part of the unemployment and reading those emails from, various types of people all throughout South Florida that just need help and they're just losing their jobs. Those emails sometimes very hard to read because sometimes I get dozens a day and I want to help and I do help the best way I can, telling the story. That's my job as a journalist, is to tell stories and get answers, for people that desperately need them. But that has been a task, and it's been difficult to hear and read some of those stories because that this is a reality for so many people and it's a reality that's going to exist far beyond the minute 30-second package that I'm going to put together in the live shot at 5 and 6 o'clock. When I'm done with that, other people, this is their reality that they have to live in. So I think that's definitely been a piece of this bigger story that has really caused me to think and has, just, it's affected me in the way of just, gosh, and I mean, even people in my own family. I mean, this is a, we're all literally, we're all in this together. So I would say that unemployment piece.
Yeah. So, okay. So if we move from the things that make us kind of misty, all right, and then we want to go to the things that are really driving us, like, yeah, we're feeling the sense of, wow, that's powerful. That's giving you hope and encouragement and everything else. So, for example, tomorrow afternoon there's a fly pass by the Blue Angels. Okay, so there's a fly over at 1 o'clock. I mean, I'm going on the roof of City Hall. I'm going on there, guys. I'm going to get my real dark Ray-Bans because I'm looking up and I'm going to enjoy that. All right. And that's coming. I mean, it's something like you're looking forward to because it's taking you away from the grind and it's taking you from all those things that are just causing you to feel this way about mankind. What is that one
Yes.
story that you have done so far that has lifted you up to say, yes, there's another side of COVID-19?
Yes. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm just plugging in my phone.
Okay.
And I will say, just as I'm plugging in my phone, though, what we're talking about with COVID-19, and you connect with people in different ways.
Yeah.
I think, speaking from like a humanity perspective, like for instance, like when I said, let me get up and go grab my charger, we're really all getting an inside glimpse into everybody's lives in a way that we never really did before, right? Like so it's so interesting in that sense. Okay, so to answer your question about a story that has impacted me, but more in like a positive way, right? That's what you were asking?
Yes, that thing that said, yes, there's life. There's going to be hope. There's another side of COVID-19.
Yes. All right. So let me dig back into my bank here. All right. Well, I just recently did a story. What was this? We are on Thursday now, so this was on Friday. A young lady who is going through COVID in her own family. Horrible situation. But her company that she and her husband own, they are donating they donated thousands and thousands of masks to area hospitals here in South Florida, with the main one being Mount Sinai. And that is this, those are the types of stories. And I know we have to do the rough ones, we have to do the ones that, speak to just the numbers and the deaths and but those are the stories there that I say people need to see right now. They need that glimmer of hope and that aha moment. Like, wow, this is the good that we're finding. Excuse me. This is the good that we're finding in what is really a bad situation.
Yeah.
So I did that story. I love doing that story. Thousands of masks she's donated, with more on the way, just helping, keeping that positive outlook. That is the one that's sticking out to my head. And it's probably sticking out in my head right now because it was the one that I, just did, because there's so much that we cover every day. So it was the one that we just did. But man, oh man, I love, and I know it's hard in a market like South Florida, where there's so much breaking news all the time, but yeah. I'm a lover of finding the good stories, this diamonds in the rough of stories. Yeah. So I would say that right now, top of mind, is the one that sticks out to me. Good. So if you have good positive stories, send them my way. Can't always promise that they'll always get done, but I definitely a champion of that. Certainly during a time like this, we need that.
Yes, of course we do.
Yeah.
I just want to, since we've been talking, Alex, and I'm going to open it now for questions. I want to recognize. I know I'd recognized Commissioner Smuckler, Commissioner Smith, and Commissioner Villard before, but we've since been joined by Commissioner Mackenzie Flourmond, and we're also joined by our Mayor Anthony DiFilippo. I know, who was on a very informative call before with the League of Cities with stuff. I just want to open it now for any questions that they may have of you. Are there any questions?
Mayor,
I have a question.
Sharon, who? Order? Mayor, and then Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Ms. Cindy, for coming out and sharing this wonderful day with us. It happens to be National Day of Prayer, so I hope we'll all keep everybody in our prayers and make sure that we're praying for our country and for all of us to be able to come to normalcy again. But my question I would like to pose to you is, you are a very unique person, and you hold a very unique position. You're quote unquote one of the great communicators. You communicate to us every day, to everybody all over Dade County, Broward, and everybody who watches you on the news. What can you say as to the approach we're taking? While it's good to see all these stories that are going on and bring awareness to what's going on, where do you see the system really pivoting and trying to bring ease to people? A lot of people see the media and they get in this frenzy and they get caught up and the anxiety, and they see these numbers. Some of them may be right, sometimes they're not accurate, whatever the case may be. But when are we you see the pivoting of coming around to giving people that sense of normalcy, as you see these different positive scenarios, as you were mentioning, and the manager questioned you on the ones that really turn you around and say there's light at the end of the tunnel? How do you see that happening?
That's a question that in some ways has been asked before. I've even asked myself. It's been asked amongst my own family. When do we, I want to make sure I have your question right. When will we start to kind of see some normalcy again in terms of news coverage? Well,
you'll see that obviously when things come down. But as a news center and a news reporter, just the message you put out, when you put it out, and when do you think that we we can try putting out some more good reports, like you said, of the positive things that are happening? And by all means, I'm sure our city manager will send you some great things that we have in our city as they happen. But you know, when do you start seeing this turnaround? I mean, from your media perspective and your point of view, who get this information at a moment's notice before anybody else?
Well, I can't speak for every station. You know, I can say for my station and, you know, our producers and just our news organization as a whole. And I go back to what I said before, which was a story that I did on Friday, that positive story. We welcome positive stories amongst the harder hitting ones. Obviously, the harder hitting ones that are you know, time sensitive, those do take precedent in terms of, you know, news is news. You know, when news is happening, we got to go get it. However, I don't know if there's really a time limit or a point when we would make that pivot per se, because I think, and I'm not saying this just because, you know, I'm at Channel 10, you know, because this is my station. I'm saying this truly because this is the reality I know of my station and the conversations that we have. We have to hit those hard stories, but we also like to hit the ones that are going to bring some positivity as well, which is why, you know, I did the story on Friday, which is why we're doing stories, you know, about parents staying home with their children, finding creative ways to keep them busy, which is why we've been doing stories about masks. I remember very early on, you know, my colleague Will Manso and Clay, they did a mask making story. I've talked to businesses that, you know, have been affected by this coronavirus. One that sticks out to me right now is world famous House of Mac, and how he is using his platform to help those first responders out there deliver meals. And that was very early on in this pandemic. I don't think it's a matter of that we're not telling those stories. I think it's a matter of just getting that content out there, and pumping, you know, pumping our, I guess you could say your cachet, if I will, of good stories that are going to make a meaningful and lasting impact. So, you know, I don't know if it's a matter of when or if, because I know that we're doing it now. And so if there are any stories that you think that are positive stories that the community would really care about, by all means, you know, please email them to me, and I'd be happy to, you know, see about what we can do in terms of coverage. And like I said, and I said this very early on, every day and every story is not going to be a story that we're going to be able to air. But
I'm going to do a little better to that, Alex. I'll make sure I text it to you, because I'll just tell you, because my bosses are here on the line with me, I'm very close to declaring email bankruptcy, because there's so much emails that are rolling around at this time. But anyway, I know that Commissioner Smith, great answer. It just speaks to the fact that there's just so much that our community is doing. I think Commissioner Smith is up.
Yeah, the positive message I think we should continue driving is the testing, and showing people that there is testing out there. And the more they test it, the more the numbers are going to come down, and we're going to know who has it, who doesn't. And that shows a positive sign. And that's what I'm hearing from my constituents, that they'd like to hear more about the testing sites, and knowing that they can get into the clear, know if they have it or not. Thank you very much for everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Smith?
Thank you. Ms. Finney, thank you so much.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for being here and for all that you do. You know, it's very interesting how we live in a society that had this major change, and yet we also have the electronics that made your communication get out to the public, and we're not dealing with trying to find a way to find out. I just want to say that there's several things going through my mind, but we're short on time. I happen to be in real estate. One time I sold the editor of the editorial page for the Herald, and he used to say, I have to hang up on, there's a big storm coming. And I used to get the news before anybody else. Can you give us something before you hang up that's on the horizons before anybody else, in reference to maybe the children? Is that disease we're hearing nationally coming to Miami with the children? Do we know what the summer plan is for the children? What do you have that you know is on the horizon and you can share with North Miami Beach? And again, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, in relation to children and this virus, am I correct?
That's correct. or what else you may know that's coming up tomorrow, the next day, and we get the little inside scoop.
Well, I mean, to answer your question honestly, I don't know if I have anything that, in terms of inside scoop on what other people wouldn't know right now. I know that obviously the virus in children is something that's being looked at, and it's, been reported on over the last few days, which has kind of started to get those juices flowing and percolating, and it's a bit of a change that we have been seeing. But what I can tell you in terms of children and just the summer and what they're going to be doing, I mean, gosh, I wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't know that specific, in terms of what children or what their summer is going to look like. Is that kind of what you were touching on, like what summer programs could look like?
Correct, because we as commissioners have to adapt our residents to the new. What is the new? So
right. What's the
we
new?
Depend on you to lead us, and thank you again.
Yeah. Well, what I can tell you is that as one thing that has proven very true about this virus is that things are just changing so quickly. And I think right now where it stands with children is where it stood before, which you have parents wondering what they're going to be doing with their kids over the summer, organizations wondering if we're going to be having summer camp, and if we are, what that's going to look like. And I think that that's still where we are right now. But what I can do is I'm cataloging notes in my head. I know that was mentioned about testing, and now we've talked about children and their summer plans. While I don't have specific answers for you right now in this meeting, I'm cataloging those things, and I'd be happy to address those at a later date, as I do find out information.
And if I may add something to that, Alex, because I know we've got a few more minutes left. I want to tell you that I had a conversation this morning with our Parks and Recreation Director, Andy Plotkin, and his team. And what NMB has planned for the summer, given what we're working with, I think it's going to be commendable. Because they've already crafted some things. They're speaking with a coalition of different parks and recreation directors, and with and overall just listening to what the community has to say. And we're crafting a plan for the summer for our kids. I mean, given it's not going to be the same as we usually have, but it's going to be substantive, I think, to give them other options that includes our North Miami Beach. I think I saw Commissioner Villard's hand up, or it's I have Commissioner Villard, and then I have Commissioner Smuckler, and I think I've got 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Oh wow, it goes by fast.
Yes, it does. We said that, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Villard, you have to unmute. We can't hear you yet.
And we really appreciate it. We're getting the information straight from the horse's mouth. And we appreciate your time coming, from Channel 10. We feel like we have a bond with all of you, the news anchors from Channel 10. So we really appreciate the time that you're taking to give us first-hand information. I just wanted to say thank you.
Hi, thank you for having me.
No problem.
Commissioner Smuckler, I think I saw your hand up. Did I?
Yes, thank you, Manager. I have some local 10 breaking news for you. North Miami Beach is the best city in the whole wide world.
I'm gonna tell them to break into programming for that now.
Please do. Thank you.
Say that to me before we went online.
Well, she just heard the breaking news, so now she.
I understand it's being recorded. Yes, Commissioner. I want to tell you that one of the things that we're doing here as a city is that in this environment, of course, we're dealing with the census. And it's an ongoing thing because we've had to change our plans as to how we communicate, and some of the things that we had planned before COVID-19, we've just had to dump them. But we're revamping ourselves, revamping our efforts, and every single day on this forum, I give you a feel as to how much we have moved in terms of the census. And so on, I think it was on the 4th, whenever May 4th was, our numbers were 47.7. We've been moving up like a 0.3%. So we moved from 47.7 to 48.0. Yesterday we were at 48.3. Today we're at 49%. We moved up a 0.7 of percent. And I just want to just tell you about the efforts here in North Miami Beach to make sure that we become this entitlement city that is that can utilize and be available for those federal funds. We're making all effort to do it. But as you get ready to leave, Alex, I just wanted to ask, who's the most influential person in the advancements of your career? Who's your mentor?
Well, there's no denying that the most influential person in terms of the advancement of my career is in terms of who's in this business, right?
Listen, when everyone asks me who's my mentor, I usually say my father. It covers everything and everybody.
My parents are my mentors in so many ways. And, I've been blessed enough for, my aunt, who's also very much part of this business, very much of a powerhouse in this business. I have looked up to her in so many ways throughout my career. And she's constantly like a quiet, a fairy godmother, always guiding me in ways that I don't think anybody else in this business could, just because I have that, it's the bloodline, right? So there are so many people along the way that I've met that have built me in terms of being the woman I am and continue to try to build me into being the woman I want to become. When I just think about the business and I think about just how crazy this profession is in the most beautiful way, my aunt was definitely one and continues to be one that helps guide me through what is a roller coaster of a career that I chose, but it is nonetheless a very exciting one. So yeah, I'd have to go with her for that, for the business side of things. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Did I see another hand? Because I think we have 1 minute. And I just want to recognize you again, Alex, for everything you do, because listen, whenever I see you, I'm reminded of our health fair, because you've led our health fair for the last two years. And whenever I see you, I'm like, gotta go walk, gotta go do something. So you're influential from that standpoint. We have
heart health, I hope everyone's still walking. I walk at least 2 miles a day. Throughout the close of things. Gyms are closed, everything's closed. We got to do what we can with what we got.
I'm up to 3. I'm just saying, I'm up to 3.
Perfect.
I think we're down to 2 minutes. I thought I saw a hand. If you can get your question off in 5 seconds, it'll be good. If not, tell you what, we are happy that you've been on here with us. Feel free to visit us, and I still mean it. If you need a good story, North Miami Beach is a bastion of good stories.
Yes, and you have my email, so please email me directly. I know that our station, they get a lot of different press releases all the time, and those get lost sometimes in the shuffle. But please send them to me personally, and I'd love to go over some ideas.
I sure will. Either myself or Cheryl Stopnick from a PR firm. Thank you so much for being on here. Tomorrow it's all about the census. It's going to be Census Day. And we'll be talking about all the great things we're doing in North Miami Beach about the census. Thank you for being on this. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Everybody,
thanks for having me. I wish we had more time.
Yes.
But here we are.
We'll do it again.
Perfect.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.